My friends, how are you? It's fantastic to see you for yet another video. And today we've got a small Nebraska town that is completely collapsing due to Donald Trump's failed economic policies. And I want to talk about that. This story is actually a couple weeks old, but I hesitated to cover it because I thought there was other things at play that I maybe was not understanding about it until today. And I got to dig into it just a little bit and find out that once you get to the bottom of everything, it actually is more of Donald Trump's failed economic policies that is causing it. So I was going to leave it alone because I thought it was just a greedy corporation. And don't you worry, it is also a greedy corporation at play right now. But I didn't know how to pin it on Donald Trump. And if you haven't figured out the theme around here, pointing out how Donald Trump is wrecking the working class in America is kind of the theme of the entire channel. Because it's important to me that working class Americans in the future start making better decisions with their votes and stop voting for these damn Republicans, but more importantly, stop voting for these con artists like Donald Trump. So what we do here is we figure out why Donald Trump caused the problem in the first place, which often gets referred to as TDS by a bunch of billionaire bootlickers, but we don't really pay too much attention to their opinions because they're cucks anyways, and they're unwilling to stand up for themselves, so the rest of us in America have to do it for them. And that's sort of one of the funniest things about the MAGA movement now, isn't it? A bunch of big, strong, tough, scary, intimidating alpha males that do what they're told. I don't know how that all works out, but today, my friends, we are talking about Lexington, Nebraska, and the Tyson plant over there that is basically going to wipe this small town off the face of the planet by the time this whole thing is done. The economic the economic fallout from this entire thing is just going to be a disaster to this city. It's a population of around 11,000 people, and 3,000 people work at this Tyson plant. So you have to assume this is a massive, massive portion of their economy. And of course, the money that gets spent by the workers all over their local communities will be leaving soon. So let me tell you why I had a hard time covering this and pinning it to Donald Trump. And as we get to the end of the video, I'll be able to explain to you how Donald Trump did it once again. But this is Tyson. As a truck driver, I have worked with Tyson many, many times, and sort of just an observation that I've made. I'm not accusing, but this is an observation that I've made with the Tyson company around America. They have a tendency to set up shop in very low cost of living areas, and they do that for the purpose of being able to go in there and hire a bunch of employees at a much lower rate than if they were to set it up around a city, and that way the corporation can profit more handsomely from the lower labor cost in those areas. And in my time of truck driving, I know of at least one Tyson plant that was either closing or laying off a lot of people, and I do not remember where that was. It was one of the southern states, and this was a few years ago. Alabama, Mississippi, could have been Louisiana for all I know. I don't really remember, but basically they had been there for about 20 years, getting by with the lower wages. And then once the cost of living started to catch up, where the people in that local community were asking for more money because the housing prices were going up because of all the work from the Tyson plant there, they closed up shop and they moved that plant somewhere else. And I know I should have done better research on that. I'm well aware. I remember being there talking to the security guard about all the Tyson employees that were getting ready to lose their job as they were going to close this particular place up, and they were moving to a more rural, remote area. And it had to be the only reason for that was just to keep the wages low, because the corporations in America are greedy motherfuckers, man. $1 billion just ain't enough to live on. I mean, what do you expect? You know, they got to do something. And that was kind of where I was going to leave the story. I was never going to talk about it. It was just Tyson doing some Tyson bullshit. And I didn't actually really give a fuck about the entire situation until I started digging into what is going on. And we find out as we go that Donald Trump is once again the one fucking this entire thing up. So it is a beef processing plant or meat packing plant out of Lexington, Kentucky, and they have been dealing with a lot of struggles financially. Damn it, I hate when the billionaires struggle. It's like the worst thing ever now, isn't it? But they've been dealing with a lot of struggles recently, and a lot of it has to do with the cattle ranchers, apparently. And my friends, I am not a cattle rancher, so there's a good chance that I fuck part of this part of the video up, but my heart's in the right place. My intentions are good here. So I guess the cattle industry has been dealing with some headwinds anyways that are sort of outside of Donald Trump's control, as far as I understand, in the sense that there are smaller herd sizes in America, which means we just have less cattle in this country. And from my understanding of that, a lot of it has to do with drought conditions and other factors that are causing us to have smaller herds, which has been driving up the cost of beef in America for quite a while, apparently. I don't want to bullshit you guys and act like I know more than I do. I think that's a silly thing to do. That's my understanding of what is going on with that and the headwinds that the cattle and the beef industry were facing already ahead of all of Donald Trump's bullshit. So once I got to that point of the story, I still wasn't going to talk about this. I still said, okay, all of that makes sense, and I guess Donald Trump's hands are clean in this entire thing. Until, my friends, until I heard a very interesting thing said that made me go, yep, here we go again. Donald Trump up to his old shenanigans, up to no good when it comes to the American people. And sort of one of the most shocking things about all of this is Donald Trump's policies are just hammering rural and red states in this fucking country. You know, this Tyson thing is a big blow to Nebraska, but you know, the cuts to SNAP benefits that they want to do, the cuts to the Medicare, Medicaid, the expiring of the Obamacare subsidies, all these things are direct attacks on rural America. And it's crazy to think about I guess Donald Trump assumes he can get away with it. He's like, they voted for me, they loved me, they're loyal to me. I'm going to bankrupt their asses, and they're going to love every bit of it. And unfortunately, in some cases, he is right. We know that there are people in America that are going to be completely loyal to Donald Trump, even after they end up living outside under a fucking bridge somewhere. They will still try to convince you that they live in the best economy in the world. Donald Trump is the greatest president ever, and every bit of it was worth it because Donald Trump desperately needed a golden ballroom at the White House, and they will feel like they made a sacrifice for the greater good in America, and will even view it as patriotic. Remember, these are the Americans that said that they voted for Donald Trump for lower prices, which we all know was code word for I want to be a fucking racist in public, goddammit. And then when the prices went higher under Donald Trump, they said it was patriotic to have higher prices in America, which is why I got the pleasure of making, quite frankly, one of the most awesome jokes in this country, in the history of this channel, I mean, as we watched as people tried to justify Donald Trump's behavior and say it was patriotic. We then found out that Donald Trump enjoys giving blowjobs to someone named Bubba, to which I got to talk about how MAGA sooner or later was going to start telling us how blowjobs are now patriotic, and I don't know if I was looking forward to it or not. I mean, you don't knock it till you try it, baby. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really fucking know. But the point, where was I? I know I was trying to make a point. I got way off track there, didn't I? Here we go. I'm back. I heard someone say that there is a problem with the beef exports in America, and that is another thing that is causing the headwinds when it comes to the cattle ranchers and the meatpacking industry in Colorado. I mean, Colorado, goddamn, what am I talking about today? In America, goddamn. I'm having a rough day today on this video. Hope you guys still watch. This is not going well in America. Once I heard that there was an export issue, other countries not buying our beef, then I knew I had Donald Trump's ass on this one, and I knew there was going to be a problem. So I started digging into that specifically. Why are American beef exports down? To which I found some highly amusing shit, my friends, that explains why this is happening and this entire situation. So what we have to do is we have to go back to the farmers for just a minute to get to the point of this video. You know how Donald Trump just bankrupted the fucking farmers in America, right? We all understand that. Donald Trump wanted to start a trade war. He wanted to hold other countries hostage all over the world with plants that grow out of the ground. That is the dumbest fucking trade war I've ever heard of in my life. China's over there with like high-tech shit, and we're like, yeah, but where are you gonna get the plants from, stupid? And they go, Argentina? Brazil? I mean, what are you even fucking talking about? And Donald Trump says, no, you're wrong. We got your asses on this one. And then the farmers went fucking bankrupt, which is a thing we said was going to happen from the absolute fucking beginning of this entire thing. And we know that because Donald Trump bankrupted the farmers in his first term, and we had to bail them out. And I have come to the conclusion that it must be that the farmers don't want to put in the work. And I don't mean every farmer out there, but the farmers that voted for Donald Trump are sick of working, and they would much rather sit back and suck the government tit. And that's why, after being bankrupted in his first term, a sad statistic is the farmer suicide rate jumped dramatically under Donald Trump's first term. They said, you know what, sign me up for more of that shit. And look, don't be mad at me for saying it. If you knew he was going to bankrupt your industry and you voted for him again, I can only assume that that's what you wanted, was another bailout. You didn't want to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You didn't want to put in the fucking work. You wanted the government tit in your mouth, and you wanted to make your money that way. And I guess that's just their hustle at this point. I don't really fucking know. But you remember, it was a huge deal about the soybean farmers, because China is a major exporter, importer, whatever word I'm looking for there, buyer of American soybeans. They buy the shit out of our soybeans here, and they decided that through retaliatory tariffs and also just straight up refusing to buy American soybeans, they were going to strike back on Donald Trump's absolutely absurd tariffs, where we were up to somewhere like 145% at one point or another. And China said, bullshit, we will not buy your soybean at this point. And that's when they started going to Brazil. That's when America bailed out Argentina to the tune of $40 billion. And as soon as we bailed out Argentina reduced their export taxes to send their soybean to China, effectively wiping America out of the fucking market on the entire thing. So Donald Trump, being the greatest deal maker in the world, remember they told us we were going to get 90 deals in 90 days, had finally come to what they called a trade agreement when it comes to China. Keep in mind that none of this went through the proper channels, didn't go through the House, didn't go through the Senate. There is no trade agreement in place. It is a framework of a trade deal, right? Well, in that framework of a trade deal, basically China said, well, we could buy up to, I think it's like 12 billion tons or something. It's possible we could buy up to 12 billion tons of American soybean. It's no binding agreement. It's nothing, period, at all, end of story. To which China bought a little bit. They bought some soybeans, and they said, hey, maybe in January or maybe in February, we might buy some more. That's the whole deal. That's the fucking agreement. There is nothing solid in place whatsoever that says China is going to buy the American farmer soybeans anymore, and they don't fucking have to, because there's the Argentina and there's Brazil, and they don't give a fuck about this. Like, Donald Trump wanted to do stupid shit. Well, the interesting thing that I heard about that framework is there was no agreement for American beef. It turns out that when Donald Trump started all of these trade wars, apparently China had blacklisted American beef producers and said, we're not going to buy their product whatsoever, and we're just not going to do it. And that, my friends, right there is the reason that the exporting of beef is having a huge problem in the United States. So after this framework of a deal with no actual real agreement to buy soybeans from the American farmers, but like, hey, we'll just buy some every once in a while, it did absolutely nothing, period, at all for American beef. There's no agreement to buy any. There's no agreement to even remove American beef producers from the fucking blacklist, and the market of China for the most part is basically just cut off from American beef producers. So it was when I heard somebody say there was an export problem that a light bulb went off in my head, and I said, my God, this son of a bitch Donald Trump has done it yet again, hasn't he? And it turns out that this entire small town in Nebraska of 11,000 people, at which 3,000 work at the same place, can 100% solely be pinned on Donald Trump and his poor economic policies. Now, isn't that fucking crazy? And of course you have to look at these fucking red states, right? And I know I said that kind of aggressive. I understand that there are so many blue dots all over these red states in America. I live in Colorado, but I live in a red district as of right now. We'll see if that flips or not. And it's very frustrating that you're paying attention, you're doing the right thing, you're getting educated on the politics. You go out, you vote for the Democrat because you know the Republican's going to do some bullshit to fuck up your economy at a local level, and you still get slapped in the fucking face for it because there's too many people that live in your local community that spend all their time watching Fox News, and they're terrified that transgender people are coming just over the horizon. There's a horde of transgender people just over yonder, just over that cornfield over there, and if we don't vote Republican, they'll be here in no time, and they'll be forcing our children to shit in litter boxes in schools and have sex changes, and then they go, we have to vote for the Republican because all of that does sound horrifying. And they're right. All of that does sound horrifying if you're a complete fucking dipshit that believes the shit that comes out of Fox News. All of that sounds scary as hell if you're dumb as fuck, right? We all know that. And obviously that's frustrating, but these Republicans, these senators, and these Congress people that are in a position to stand up to Donald Trump, but they are so afraid to do it, are out there selling out their own states. They are selling out the livelihoods of the American people just so they can stay in Donald Trump's good graces. And that is about the biggest bunch of bullshit I have ever heard in my life. So we need to remember that as we move to these midterms. The Republicans, some of them probably know what's best. They know that they should be doing the right thing, but over and over and over they choose to fall in line with Donald Trump because of all the people in this world. That sloppy bitch is the one that they're afraid of. That doesn't even make any fucking sense whatsoever. But they bow down, they do what they're told, and they absolutely sabotage their own local communities that elected them into office because they are afraid to do the right thing. So when these midterm elections come up, hopefully a lot more Americans go out there and do the right fucking thing, because this is completely devastating to the American people. With that said, I guess I'm done for the day. I should get back to work here. Love you guys. Bye now.